Oh, I love you. Hey, let me get one thing straight. If you see me hugging a tree, there's only two reasons for that. Number one, I'm probably measuring board feet. Or number two, it's a sycamore. You know, it's no secret that when someone starts to look for land that they want to purchase for themselves or their family, one of the first things they look for when they're looking for land is, does the land have water on it? Lake, pond, streams, rivers, whatever. You know, but one of the things that are overlooked the most are the trees that actually grow on the property, because a tree can give you a very good indication of how much water is on the land. This is a sycamore tree. We are near the top of our mountain, and near the top of our mountain there is a sycamore tree, and there's a couple of others like it in the nearby vicinity. That tells you that there is water on top of this mountain. Now that's very abnormal. A couple of years ago when we were walking this land, a friend of ours was with us, and he knows a lot about trees. And he saw these sycamores and says, whoa, you guys have sycamores at the top of a mountain. That's abnormal. Normally you find sycamores down in the lakes and the streams, the valleys, the creeks. A lot of sycamores grow in those areas, but it's very uncommon to find a sycamore at the top of a mountain. When you find a sycamore at the top of a mountain, there's water there, and that's a good sign. You see the trees or the leaves of a sycamore are very big. They almost look like a maple, so it's very easy to identify them, but they're not maples. It's almost in the shape of a maple leaf, but they're a lot bigger, and it's a sycamore. This is a sycamore leaf, and the sycamore tree produces a lot of big leaves, and you need a lot of water to produce those big leaves. A sycamore tree will often consume, at least a size like this, will often consume around 3, 4, 5, and even sometimes 600 gallons of water a day. 600 gallons of water a day, especially for a big tree like this. This one probably consumes maybe between 400 and 500. There are bigger sycamores than this, but this is a pretty good size one. So let's just say 400 gallons a day. Could your family, once you purchase a homestead and build a homestead on land that you purchase, do you think your family could get by on 400 gallons a day? I think it probably could. You know, I think we get by, I think Jamie's done the estimates before, we use about maybe 30 gallons of water a day on our homestead. That's not a lot. So you could easily get by on, 400 gallons a day. We actually have other sycamores on the property, right here in the close vicinity. We have a few of them, but we have water, a high water table on the top of our mountain, and we're very blessed to have that. That's not normal. But a lot of people, I think, when they're walking some land that they're interested in buying, they walk the land and they're disappointed to not see any, streams that go through it, or a pre-drilled well that may have already existed on the homestead, or other water sources. But if you're walking land, one of the first things you need to do when you start to shop for land purchases is to learn how to identify certain trees, because certain trees consume more water than other trees do. See, it seems so basic. It's just something that's so overlooked, that you're looking at land with all kinds of things growing on it, and all those things that are growing on that land consume water. Everything needs water for life. So it makes sense to learn to identify sycamore trees and other trees that consume a large amount of water, because that can be beneficial to you. So when you start to look for land, learn how to look for a sycamore tree. If you find a sycamore tree on your land, that's a great place to identify, and then consider building a house around that area so that you can drill a well, because you want your house that you build on your homestead, if you're starting with raw land especially, to drill a well near where you're going to live, because you want that water source nearby where the house is. Here on American Homestead, we get a lot of questions from people who are looking to start homesteads. They say, hey Zach, what's one of the top things I should look for? What's give me some things to avoid, what mistakes can I avoid? And when it comes to looking for a homestead, something that you're going to build a house on, maybe some raw land, I tell people the same answer is always make sure it has water. Even if it's got an existing house on it, has an existing well on it, make sure the homestead you're buying has a good source of water, a reliable source of water. When you buy a homestead like this and you find a sycamore like that, that's a great indication of a future water source if you ever decide to tap into it. This will be a great place to clear and then put a homestead, put a house on, drill down, because you know you're going to get water. You can put a well here, and that well will produce reliably for you. So learn to identify certain trees. Again, the sycamore is very easily identifiable with the leaf structure. It has a very particular bark on it, especially near the top. It's more like a scaly bark. It begins to flake off. at the very top of sycamore trees, they'll have these little pods or like little balls that hang down from the top branches. And so you look for those, and during the wintertime, if you're walking the property, I look at the tops of trees, and you look at the tops of trees, and if you see those little pods up there, those pods you know, are a clear indication that's a sycamore tree and that there's water in that location. Also, in the general area here, we have a number of soft maples. Soft maples will also consume a good amount of water, and that's a good indication that there is a water source in the ground. It may not always hold true, but they do consume more water than some trees, and having it near the sycamore obviously tells me that there is water here, and we even have tapped those trees in the past for maple syrup. But that's the big thing, man. And people ask, what do I look for? What's the top thing? How, you know, how can I, what should I look for when buying new land? And water. You got to find water, and if you can find a sycamore, you know you've got water on that land. Hey, do you find this video helpful? Do you know people who are out there right now, friends of yours who may be looking for land? Share this video with them. You know, share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, and maybe it'll help someone else who's out there in the market right now looking for a good homestead site that's going to produce good for their family. This may save them a lot of trouble. They may come to a homestead where, hey, you know, there's nothing there, you know, it seems like on the surface, but man, you find one of these and it's as good as gold, good as gold. And that's why I'll hug that tree every time I see it. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, check out this list of amazing folks. These are our patrons. They make all of our videos possible. We could not do what we do on YouTube without them. They are the executive producers of our show. You can learn more by going to patreon.com/AnAmericanHomestead to see all of the benefits. Other than that, again, if you know someone who's looking for land, show them this video, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time on An American Homestead.